Okay, I've been struggling for some time to try to get the oil line to the front right oil cooler, engine oil cooler, out of the BMW 2011 550i. The factory manual says that you're supposed to remove the subframe and drop it, which was way too intense for a driveway project, and I just didn't want to do that. So it has taken a lot of excavation, but really nothing major, accomplished mainly with a small, 3/8 drive and some impact tools. Turns out this Torx is a really important part of your adventure. Torx is a really important part of your adventure if you're going to be doing this. And there are just about a zillion of these screws to take out underneath the fender wells, and I just went ahead and took off the front bumper cover. It's not that big a deal. There's some fasteners up. There's some fasteners up along here that are, again, that Torx bit. They're underneath the rubber trim strip. So the holes are actually underneath the rubber trim strip at the top of the trim there. But this thing really drops off. There are a few screws underneath the fenders, and you twist the bulbs and they come out. And I think there's one sensor up here in the front. They twist the bulbs and they come out. I think there was one sensor in the front that might have been a proximity kind of sensor for the warning system. But after much work to get this whole area cleared out, all the equipment that was up in here, the oil cooler, the vent system, and the plastic, lots and lots of plastic and some aluminum parts, I've been able to now extract the oil hose out from around this, and I did not ever think I was going to be able to do it. But you just keep taking things apart on that front end, and I didn't actually have to drop the whole radiator. I've dropped the bracket just enough to get the clearance in this area right here. This pylon for the subframe was the real blockage, but I decided instead of moving the pylon for the subframe, I would just move all the stuff that was in its way out here. So a few hours, a little bit of frustration and learning, which I always enjoy. I think we've got it now, and the last piece to come out was this. So this project began because of a terrible oil loss, which I thought was burning oil, but it turns out it was one of these two hoses has an arterial kind of leak that didn't leak so much at idle. And that was what was throwing me off, because I didn't have oil in my driveway so much as I was losing it when I was underway. And now it makes sense, because as I was underway, the oil pressure was increasing dramatically and spraying and spewing the oil out. The connectors are pretty straightforward. This one is actually got a little clip that goes up in a groove in the oil cooler, and this one had a single bolt at the other end. The fasteners that hold it in place were a tremendous pain. This one right here goes up underneath the front end, and it had three 8 millimeter regular head bolts that were just a pain to get to. But I was able to get to one of them by going down through the top. I think I still have the, so I still have the drive there, going down all the way through to get to the top of that particular part. And I had to have it out of the way in order to get the oil hoses around. So that was kind of a bit of a bother. Learned a little bit. BMW 550i 2011. This one's got about 130,000 miles on it. I thought it had the oil burning issue. It may still have it, the valve guides, but when you're losing a quart every tank, and then the last time I got it home, it must have really been bleeding oil, because it lost 2 quarts in about 2 miles. So I hope that's helpful if you're changing the oil cooler lines on the front right fender of a BMW 550i. It's quite an adventure, but I think I've gotten to the point now where I can safely order the new hoses and reassemble. And if this is helpful to you, if you would just indicate below if I've been totally obscure and not helpful whatsoever. I want you to say that too, because I always want to be helpful to people who take the time to look at these videos and see if they can learn a thing or two along the way. So maybe I'll post one of going back together, but the taking apart has been a considerable opportunity and learning.